Duo from under?
From down under.
Oh, down
under. Down under, Danny.
Come on, Danny.
Yeah.
Come on.
You guys don't even, am I the only one from down under? Like,
Yeah.
From under? You guys
We're just under.
down under, up and above?
To be fair, Costa didn't know in 2021 what hemisphere UK was in, so, you know.
I still don't, honestly, if I'm being honest. I can't remember what the answer was.
This guy's pretty well travelled, Scotty. I mean, I think he was just baiting you guys. You know, he's been around. He spent some time in Canada. He kind of knows up from down. You know, don't let him fool you. He's a little bit more clever than he likes to give off. Casting with Jack, you know, he's got to bring it down a little bit. But I'm telling you, he's got something going on up there.
Yeah, I got to be smart now.
Good to have you, Scotty. Oh, yeah. Step up, bro. Step up. Long day for you. How are you feeling, mate? Are we overreacting on the San Francisco shock here? Are we getting a bit ahead of ourselves, getting very excited about this team now, based on what we've seen yesterday?
Yeah, well, that's really the question, because the San Francisco Shock, they did look good, but now we're talking to ourselves, like Johnny just said, the Gladiators losing to the Valiant, looking weak doing it. Does that also transcend to the San Francisco Shock? Is this team going to be able to stand up? But also, it's not just about the Shock. I think sometimes we forget this Washington Justice roster is 5-3. They're having a good season so far.
Yeah, I think it was like a bit of a capitulation to, you know, as we got towards the mid-season madness, right, where this team kind of fell apart a little bit. Some tough opposition against teams like Gladiators and the Mayhem, and they eventually sort of fell out of the mix. But we can't be too quick to forget just how strong this team is. This team that obviously is led from the front by Alpha Yi. You know, Mirror's looked really good across multiple roles where he's had to step in. I get the question marks, you know, about Donghun coming in. Yeah, it's a change to the team. You know, we were pretty surprised, I think, to see the French connection broken up, you know, between Get Amazed and FD God. But, you know, this team, Scott, are looking ahead. They want far more than just, you know, being just on the outside looking in 4th, 5th place. No, they want to be right up in that top echelon here. And, hey, not a bad opponent to show it against. Maybe stop this San Francisco momentum before they get ahead of themselves.
Yeah, Get Amazed and the Washington Justice. What they're saying is we're not okay with mediocre. We want to be a team that's going to be challenging these top-end teams. And even though it might just feel like a main support switch with Donghun coming in, I think it can be that catalyst that enables them to play different styles. Another question I had for this Washington Justice, and a concern I have for them in the spring stage, was they were bouncing between Mirror and BenBest, even though they were playing pretty much the same heroes. I'm hoping we see them sort of stick with one and just run with it. And for so far, we have Mirror in the lineup.
Yeah, obviously, like, you know, for the sake of variety, a lot of people are very excited to see Ben playing more. But, you know, we've seen so many teams find success when they lock into that formula that really seems to work for them. On the other side of the field right now, you've got a team that has done just that with Junbin, right? We spent quite a while saying, hey, the time is probably not right for Max here. We want to see Junbin, we want to see more of the hero pool developed. I think we're even more confident in that now, that he's been able to play Wrecking Ball, something that he specializes in, and make it work up against these more conventional compositions, comps that we were seeing, obviously, before the mid-season madness. I thought Probe had a decent start, right? It's nice to see that, you know, Proper has someone that can just strap on the Sombra boots and get in there, really free him up and allow him to play these high-impact heroes regardless of map or composition.
Exactly, like Probe, we saw him come in, he was having that flexibility, he can play the hit scan and the Sombra. They also have Striker who can come in and play the Sombra or anything else. And what all of this does is it enables Proper to just play his game. They can put him on the hero he's the most comfortable on and take over the server. And we saw that yesterday against the Los Angeles Gladiators. He was just everywhere, putting out so much work. And what that does is it enables everyone else to feel comfortable. Junbin playing this Wrecking Ball, an unconventional pick in a Sombra meta. I think just going back to your roots, playing what you're good at, can give you such dividends. So that's why I think a lot of us are really hyped for this San Francisco Shock roster. Now it's been slightly retooled.
It's fun to see the signature style to start to develop from some of these teams. Now, you know, the London Spitfire also attempted something, I would say, that's similar, perhaps with not the same level of result. But I'm curious, like, you know, we saw Marvel in a few occasions, you know, having to play Winston against Junbin. Against that Wrecking Ball, he seemed like he was a little bit unsure about how to, you know, limit Junbin's impact while also being able to initiate and be proactive himself. You know, even Get Amazed said in the interview at the start of the show, he's like, well, I hope we don't have too many problems at the tank role. How does Miro sort of deal with Junbin, someone who is so singularly talented at the Wrecking Ball, which is already a bit of a, you know, out of left field pick for this meta?
I think if you're Mirror, you need to try and put Junbin out of your mind, because Junbin is going to be impactful. He's going to be all over the place, and as the tank, it can be difficult to manipulate that. You have to deal with a Wrecking Ball as a unit. You need to find the times when you should ignore him and let him move around, and times where you need to focus him, because if you never focus him, like what happened in their match against Gladiators, Junbin will just exist forever and apply so much pressure to your backline. But some unconventional comms coming out here, Mitch, in this first round.
All right, so Junker Queen we have seen at times on Oasis, probably more so on City Center at times.
Yeah.
But this is that sort of Luke Mino proper connection that we saw yesterday, right? One of the few teams that we've seen so far that are using the Mercy Pocket to really just soup up this Echo impact. And Proper was just disgusting on Ilios yesterday.
It's putting all your eggs in the Proper basket right now. They're just enabling him with this damage boost to pump out pressure. Flora switches over to the Sombra. He needs to find the pick and hack the players, but he gets instantly deleted by Proper.
That's huge. I mean, that's what Proper's looking for, that insta-pick here, and he's made it too. Both DPS of the Justice have fallen to his hand. So San Francisco get the trade up because of what Proper's able to do. Probe, well, maybe, you know, less equipped for success there, but he's still going to have impact as this, you know, this game goes on, and he's neck and neck with Flora in EMP charge. There's nothing to worry about dying early there.
This is such a weird composition from the Shock. You can see the Justice are kind of stumped on how they deal with this. Usually they'd want to go for the backline, but if you enable Proper to just sort of stand around and pump out damage, you're not going to win. The target is Luke Mino.
They hack him, but the commanding shout here actually allows Luke Mino to get away from this kind of pressure. Junbin very aware of what's going on to his Mercy. Carnage swing is pretty good. There's nothing Mira can do. What a scary prospect it is for Mira, dealing with a wild card like Junbin in the first place, now trying to go head-to-head with the Junker Queen in the front line.
At what point do you realize this Ramatra isn't going to work against the composition? What are you doing as Ramatra here? You're trying to take down the Junker Queen? That's never going to work. They need more pressure going on to Proper. Mira might need to make a switch over to the Diva or Winston, but right now he's opting to stay on and get the Annihilation.
Yeah, Mira. I mean, maybe hoping to poke down a little bit, make use of this Annihilation, but how much capture percent would you already have given over if that were the case? Flora's able to get in and find Renko. You see Alpha Yi assisting in that regard. Does know the high ground. Probe is up there. We're going to have two Sombra ultimates coming up in this next fight, and hey, Mercy brings Rez to the table. Renko's back in the fight. Flora now looking for a big EMP and lays it down. Mira got the nano boost there. Proper put to sleep. Teru connecting the dart there, and that'll be enough to put the Justice back in this game, but Scott, the Shock still have dupe, and they still have EMP.
Yeah, as much as it is great to finally get the turn, it cost them a lot. The nano boost, the EMP, the pulse bomb also went wide, but now the Shock have the answers. If they come out with a rampage, they come out with an EMP, that's going to be so much damage. If you're the Justice, it's not about trying to endure it, you need to find a way to mitigate it. You can't take this fight heads up. Probe's found the Translocator.
Probe. How do we play around this? Generally, teams able to put together this elimination on Sombra pretty quickly. Flora harassing. Okay, Translocator down, but Alpha is able to help him find a pick, so you trade, but Proper already found both DPS again. And the Mercy means you can't just trade one for one, Scott.
Yeah, that's the second time they've been caught out. Great dives, but it just hasn't been followed up.
Here's the dupe. Ana, as is customary at the moment. You see Luke Mino trying to keep Proper in that Ana form. He's going to be knocked out of it in no time. Proper parted with a bio grenade there before that happened. And the focusing beam at max range yields the kill on Teru. Mira, though, finally gets that Annihilation. You can see that's such a powerful ultimate in its own right. But Mira has to step away. The numbers favor the Shock here.
Yeah, but fortunately for the Justice, they still have control at this point, and they're jumping back and forth on it. The Shock can't play aggressively because they don't have their supports right now. Are the Justice going to retain this one?
Yeah, it looks like they used Alpha Yi, Scott, just to keep his toes dipped into the water, keep the point under control of the Justice. And he's got a pulse bomb to boot here. That's a pretty rough result for San Francisco, who used both their DPS ults in his previous fight or so. And now Washington's starting to crest towards peak in their own ultimate economy here. Not just a pulse bomb, but Flora's EMP. Here comes that hack there on Junbin. He's under a lot of pressure. Alpha Yi goes for the pulse here. Here comes the Kitsune rush though from Renko. He wants to send the Shock careening forward. You notice that Junbin switched over to the Ramatra here. Here's that EMP and they catch Proper mid-air, but Junbin's swinging for the fence. Haymakers connect with Mira. It's a 1-for-1. Jongwon taking his time here as Teru did nano in that fight, but the Justice is still in control and they're looking good. San Francisco here go for an EMP, but Probe gets taken down just after the fact and there's no follow-up to work with. And Junbin has no choice but to stand his ground here, but Scott, I don't like the look of it.
Yeah, Proper is just slowly whittling these people down with that pick onto Teru. The healing is going to be law for the Washington Justice. Can the Shock finally turn this one with the sound barrier?
The Proper pick is huge. Make that too. The sound barrier means he can get even more aggressive here. And San Francisco are able to turn it around even after that EMP from Probe falls flat.
Yeah, Junbin has the Annihilation, and the Justice are going to have to once again stagger on to the point. You can see Alpha Yi lurking under, but he's been spotted.
Probe gets rid of Alpha Yi. That is huge, and what a time to come alive here at the end of the round for San Francisco. A dupe this time on Ramatra. There are going to be a lot of flailing fists momentarily. Proper beelines for the enemy front line. Spots Duncan here, and of course he uses the rally, but it's not enough to keep him standing. Proper is disgusting. That's 2 annihilations in
That's
play.
too much.
The
No, that's
diagram
illegal.
of massacre. That's not fair. Oh my goodness. Especially with the fact you get that extra durability in Nemesis form, so you circumvent the 300 HP cap for duping a tank. That's filthy.
And there's nothing you can do against it because it goes through shields, it goes through everything, and you could just see both of them running down the Washington Justice. They could not sustain through the Fists of Fury. And the San Francisco Shock come out with an unconventional comp, but end up mirroring the Ramatra and coming out on top.
Yeah, it looks like Junbin eventually felt more comfortable switching over, which is interesting considering early on in the round he finds a fair bit of success. Could be like the Sombra really bothering him there as Junker Queen is kind of just leaves you out in the open. I did like the utility that Junbin was offering, especially Luke Mino, who was suffering a lot of focus and under a lot of pressure. And it makes sense, right? Because that res really turned some of those fights around.
Yeah, absolutely. They were getting good hacks onto Renko, but Luke Mino was just there to res them every single time. And it sort of forced the Washington Justice to play a different way, but now we're going much more conventional style from the San Francisco Shock. The Justice doing the same thing, but with a weird twist of the Junker Queen.
I've seen a couple teams play this Junker Queen style. They try and take the high ground here. They literally want to stand on the middle of this sort of platform. Dongwon has to be careful though. He's hacked. It's going to be a recall forced there by Alpha Yi. So Junbin is able to assert himself on that position pretty effectively. Flora doesn't get really what he was looking for there. He has to pull the plug.
Mira can be sort of that anchor on the middle of this point, but at some point he has to go and apply pressure to Junbin. Otherwise they're going to bleed out just like this.
Nice moment from Luke Mino there. Scott Flora gets taken down as he again tries to charge that EMP. This puts Pro more than a nose ahead in terms of ult charge, and the Justice down a player. They've got to give up the point.
Yeah, Probe is doing a very good job on this Sombra of just shutting down Flora. It feels like he's all over the place, and Flora just isn't getting the same opportunity to just free shoot. First cap goes over to the San Francisco Shock as they start to charge some of these ultimates up. Important difference is there is a Kiriko for the Justice instead of the Ana, so they won't have that nano boost.
Mira hacked here, under pressure, eats a biotic grenade, Proper. 9 of 17 final blows right now, just another day at the office really. A nice pulse bomb here surely puts the Shock up another 20% if he can land it, but he's taking his time. Heal pack handed over by Luke Mino. Teru a little bit low, has to Suzu away that Bionade, so the EMP comes in and it's devastating. Mira is low, he's trying to hang on, but look at the Shock start to push off the point once more. They don't find any kills as a result of that, but they absolutely force the Justice to step back. Opportunity for a re-engage, but Junbin cuts it short, dives on in, and now the Primal Rage to ruin Teru and Ko's day. Nothing Mira can do about this. Stunned up by Luke Mino in the rally shield bash, and Junbin, he's going for a bit of spawn camp.
just saying hi to the people who are spawning back again, giving them a chance to come back. Teru switches back over to the Ana. Mira is coming up to that Rampage. But it doesn't feel like the Justice have ever had the opportunity to take a fair fight. They're always on the back end. They did manage to live through the EMP, but then the Shock broke down the wall with the rally. And now 73% and counting, and they're going aggressive with the Nano.
Okay, they're looking for a cheap fight win here. I like it. They're forcing Dongwon's rally out at the very least. Flora also goes for the EMP. Okay.
You take that.
You get quite a lot just for that exchange.
Yeah, you take that. If you're only going to commit a nano boost and then you trade for 2 ultimates, that's great. Unfortunately, Proper does pay the price a little bit later. Now the San Francisco Shock may be having to fall back just a little bit.
Still a bit to work with for the Justice. They've got the Rampage, Pulse Bomb. Definitely an option. San Francisco, they're able to eke out value in some of these ultimate trades. The recall relatively early there from Alpha Yi. He's going to have to bide his time for the moment. and the shot get to push in. Here comes the Rampage. Renko and Junbin both caught out by that one. Mirror, though, affected by the Sombra hack. Luke Mina's going to finish the job. Over the top comes Junbin. A good pulse from AlphaGi. He held on to that for quite some time. But look at this. Late EMP. Probe for 2. He found both backliners. Scott, this is dangerous for the Justice. San Francisco, a cut above.
Yeah, the Washington Justice felt like they were in control, but Probe says no, drops the EMP, flips the favor of this fight into the San Francisco Shock, and now they're in desperation overtime.
Desperation indeed. In the high ground there, Flora dropping down. Alpha, I think, trying to keep himself at a safe distance. Mirror also stepping up here too on the Winston now. So plans for Junker Queen domination scrapped. Let's see what we're working with here. No huge ultimate, so it comes down to how effectively Junbin can isolate some of these players. And there it is. It's Proper striking again. Teru is down. Proper with 10 and 3 right now. And Flora has to get away, no choice. And he lets Proper lay waste to the rest of his teammates. Winning out in the Tracer duel. 11 and 3 out of 26. That's San Francisco for you. And what a way to make a statement start in this series. Don't even need Wrecking Ball to strike fear into the Justice.
Yeah, I think the Washington Justice expected the San Francisco Shock maybe to come out with this Wrecking Ball look that was so strong for them yesterday. They came out with some different looks, even the Junker Queen there on City Center, but the San Francisco Shock not even needing to throw any tricks at them, just do what they usually do. Let Proper play the game and take over.
And again, he goes quiet sort of midway through City Center. He doesn't have to do too much. Probe is a player that really starts to contribute, and Junbin's initiations with these Winston dives have been perfect. I mean, this is just that's not really okay, to be fair. I think normally Proper's probably just doing an honor and doing his job, but I think he knows he's he can be a bit cheeky here.
Yeah, Mirror just on the receiving end of that double fisting, and it's just hard to deal with. Right now, we talked about Mirror, needing... Mitch, I need you to move on from this one. I regret everything that was said. As we move on to Midtown, let's just move on to the next map. San Francisco Shock firmly in the lead right now on this map, trying to sort of redo their season with some new changes, and it's paying off for them right now, Mitch.
They're flying fists or none. We'll see what the comps look like as we head into Midtown, ladies and gentlemen. But San Francisco have made a great start in this series. Let's see if they can continue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, get ready because the Overwatch Twitter sphere is about to get 20% more annoying as San Francisco are looking like a pretty nasty force into this side of the season. We have a substitution attack, though. This is really interesting. Max, someone who I use as an example of like why maybe teams gravitate towards sort of just using the one tank, Scott, is getting subbed in here for map 2.
It was one complaint that a lot of people had for the San Francisco Shock in the spring stage was they were just bouncing between Max and Junbin so much that it didn't feel like any of them had the opportunity to find their legs. So it felt like both were struggling and neither was able to prosper. We were hoping so far from the San Francisco Shock's performance that maybe they would, just choose Junbin, play that style. But moving over to Midtown, there might be a niche strategy where Max can come in clutch.
Midtown, of course, a map we get to see a multitude of different styles here. Sometimes, we see teams attempt to brawl through that choke, sometimes to circumvent it. Curious to see what Max means in that regard. Mira has been someone called upon here to really play both ends of that spectrum and everything in between. That's something worth bearing in mind here is, the Justice have a chance to maybe get an idea of as this map goes on, what they should expect from the Shock here. But this team, the San Francisco team, is really hard to read.
Especially with their recent upgrades, I don't think many people saw, there were obviously some rumors, but Renko and Luke Mino to come in for this team. Luke Mino coming from a struggling Vegas Eternal into the San Francisco Shock and switching roles. He was a flex support player and now he's out here playing the main support heroes like the Brig. And then Renko, who had an impressive debut performance yesterday. These guys are really hitting a level that not many people expected and they're making a lot of fans while doing so.
Junker Queen. All right. Yeah, we're really happy, I think, to see Luke Mino slot into this roster and find success, because I think even on a struggling Vegas roster, Scott, everyone was like, hey, this guy is the real deal. Look at what he's doing. Look at the outsized impact he's able to have at support in so many of these situations. I mean, not to mention the Hanzo switches we saw from some of those matches here, but a quality player now in a system, I think, that really will allow him to shine. Let's see, though, how it plays out, because Mira, again, is going to have to walk into Junker Queen and go, oh, this again?
This
how do I get
chestnut.
around this?
Yeah, and the Junker Queen is an interesting look. As you said, we've seen bits and pieces of it, but it's been very few and far between as the Washington Justice against May are opting to walk through the train, which is a questionable decision at best. They haven't been able to make it through as Prop is trying to push this Sombra away. Probe goes down.
Yeah, okay.
How did that
Not
happen?
quite going right there. Maybe just getting caught out there, maybe just taking a face full of burst damage from multiple individuals, but good call from Donghun there. And again, can be sometimes hard for Sombra to get in here. Just have to move through some of the chokes, so spy checking's an option. Max, though. Oh my goodness, revenge comes with interest, Scott. Max comes in to find 2 quick kills, and all of a sudden, his Justice push falling apart.
I know in the back room somewhere, Jake is punching air in his vendetta against this train. It's such a bait to try and walk your team through there because your backline can't open up at all. You can't provide any assistance. You're literally walking down a massive narrow corridor. I don't know what the Justice were thinking trying to get down there, especially without a Lucio. And they're going to try it once again, Mitch. I don't see how this is going to play out for them unless, Max is just going to get a rampage and run through them all.
Okay, here's the hack on Renko. Has to back away from the Vortex here. Mira hit with that bionic grenade. Here come the Justice. Max, though. Okay, no real connection on that rampage. Yeah, just straight into it, unfortunately. Gonna be Mira here. Looking to make Max's life pretty hard. He can't do too much about the Annihilation here, and the rest of the Shock are caught on the back foot, trying to get out of the situation as quickly as they can. See, Probe trying to dissuade Alfie from pressuring Proper down, and the Nano Boost is also going to help in that regard. Proper stays alive. In Nano takes Mira down. Alfie now needs to try to beat a quick retreat, but Proper's going to be there to receive him in the Shock. Bounce back.
The trend of putting all your resources into Proper and hoping it pays off goes again, even on the May. He's able to come up clutch, get those couple of kills. It was expensive for the Shock, though, to hold on to that one. 4 ultimates just to be able to stem the bleeding. So Washington Justice, they're walking in with an EMP and a rally of their own.
And we say that, Scott, but we're down to 90 seconds left for the Justice. This EMP is going to have to be the business. Flora lining it up here, really needs to take his time. Proper split from the rest of the Shock, so hard to catch both components of this team. Pressure on Proper, goes for the hack. Flora's forced to get out. It's going to be a little moment before he's set up and healed. So waiting for that now, and the Justice are able to make incremental progress here.
Look at how spread out the Shock are. They know this is coming.
EMP comes in. Luke Mino caught by it. So was Maxi able to stay alive until the Bionade comes in. It clings to life and unfortunately can't stay in the fight. Renko gets brought down to the Justice. Talk about spending big for progress here. That EMP eventually comes up. They catch two pretty important players. Shutting the rally down, Scott, importantly. And this means that Justice are on the road.
Great recognition. Luke Mino caught in that EMP. Take him down. Don't give him the opportunity to pop that rally and give the Shock an opportunity. It took a while, but the Justice are through onto the second point. For the San Francisco Shock, though, on the positive side, they have so many ultimates coming up. They have another EMP from Probe. He's charging these quickly, and Luke Mino did manage to retain the rally.
Flora really wants to maybe pressure proper here. Try and have some supremacy at range. Still,
looks
never
big.
a guaranteed thing with those right clicks. This is lovely positioning. But will the follow-up be able to come through quickly enough? Probably yes. That is an EMP. My goodness, 5 players hit by that one. And Probe will finish the job on Mirror. Now with no front line, you get absolutely caved in. As the Justice are lucky to get out with only offering up 1 player.
Yeah, that's dream situation there for the San Francisco Shock. 1 ultimate. Teru does try and throw the nano onto Mirror to keep him alive, but it's just not enough. And now Probe's charging up another one. You want to get this cycle going.
Yeah, again, this is what we saw the Shock do so well prior. Some of their ultimates in between backline, front line, not sure. Look, I think sometimes it's pretty surprising just the turn of speed that Ramacha can put on when he's in that Nemesis form, but Flora maybe was looking for a sideline and had to play around the cart, maybe not expecting Max to pull up on him.
Yeah, and now that's more time for Probe to charge, more EMP, and it just keeps going up. The San Francisco Shock are playing in a reactive manner. They recognize they don't need to be the ones to go first while they don't have EMP. They have the ultimates to counter anything the Justice throw.
Max is going for it. My goodness, he takes a bunch of damage and still pushes up. He knows the team are behind him. And Renko, of course, delivers. The nano boost given over to Max. Yep, both those ultimates used, but this is fine, right? As a component in your ult cycling, Scott, none of the Ramacha with the Ramacha ult, then EMP Blizzard next fight, you're in really good shape.
You just keep cycling these ultimates. This is how this composition is supposed to be played. Always be on the front foot, always be charging an ultimate, because on the other hand, the Justice, they haven't been using many ultimates. They haven't been cycling. They're just holding on to them, waiting for a good opportunity to use them. Can they find a way to get into this fight and get value from the ultimates?
Oi, Probe, gotta be careful here. Alfie able to spot him out. Blizzard in hand.
It was important that they got Probe out of the way, and that's the important pick there. Flora takes down Renko, the primary healer for the San Francisco Shock.
They're finding that Hanzo's starting to generate some value here. Flora able to stay clear of Max and find a key pick. Translating into a fight win is important. And credit to San Francisco here, Scott. They don't really try to, panic ultimate. They don't try and use an EMP to sort of turn a potentially lost fight already. This means that they come into this next engagement with plenty to work with. The Justice don't have an EMP to work with, so if Probe can lay this one down quickly, the Shock can capitalize even in an ult disadvantage.
Yeah, they might not. Oh, well, there's a player advantage right there. Alfie taking out Proper, and that's the go button.
Probe thinking about it here, deliberating, maybe getting calls from his team just to hold off a little bit longer. Probably going to be pretty slow, ambling out from spawn, but it's going to have to go for it here. Big EMP coming out. Alfie, though, able to stay alive. It's going to be Mirror getting the nano boost, and San Francisco gets stuffed back to where they came from. Not a whole lot you can do about this little combo, as was evidenced by the Shock previously. Losing Proper at the start of that fight, that's got to hurt.
It really hurts because all of a sudden the Shock don't have any answers, and Justice recognized it. Even though it wasn't the most effective use of ultimate economy from the Justice, just pressing all 4 ultimates, guaranteeing you capture that second point is absolutely worth it. Probe is going to switch off of the Widowmaker, off of the Sombra onto the Widowmaker. Interesting choice. This is a gamble for sure.
Again, these are not the longest sidelines. I guess he's trying to punish the Hanzo here. That's not guaranteed, though. You can see how the Justice are responding to this, though, in terms of their positioning. They don't have speed boost, so how do they take a fight here? Dragon Strike to split up the Shock, maybe?
Yeah, Alfie goes into the backline, tries to put pressure onto Probe, but he has to fall back, and now there's a Blizzard there from Proper that just finds absolutely no purchase. So if you're the Justice, you absolutely take a Dragon Strike for a Blizzard. But we're going 25 seconds remaining, no ultimates for the Washington Justice, and they're in last fight territory.
May Widow from the shot.
A classic.
We don't have to see Proper in this role as well. I guess prior it was more he-sang, but I'm here for it. Again, defensive Blizzard that gets disengaged from is the most charitable interpretation I think we could make of that previous fight. But hey, Renko has a nano boost here. Max has that annihilation. Got it all to work with here for San Francisco. And here we go. Max plunges headlong into the Justice. And guess what? It's enough to force them away from the cart. We'll take that all the way to the bank, Scott.
All the rookies, they've been longing so long to get into the Overwatch League just so they can spam C9 in chat when someone loses a point. But the Washington Justice, as much as that is a C9, Alpha E had to deal with the Widow. There's an enormous Ramatra with a nano boost in the face. There's nothing the Justice could do. It's not a terrible push, though. We've seen a lot of teams not be able to make it to that third point. So if you're the Washington Justice, you're not too unhappy. Now it's the San Francisco Shock's turn to attack. And now we need to start asking questions. Why is Max in this lineup? Are we going to see anything different? Because I believe in the past, Junbin was primarily the Ramatra player. Is there a reason we're seeing Max?
Or at least he's played, plenty of it and has looked more than serviceable in that role. Any of the rush sort of style, obviously Ball, Winston. In fairness, Junbin, pretty wide hero pool. We saw from him over this series and obviously yesterday. It could also be just a matter of, the Shock's like, at some point, we've really got to get Max involved in some of these games. And this seems like a decent one to do it against a Justice who probably, will have even more trouble reading you because you're just mixing up your tank play midway through. Got to ask questions, Scott, about the Hanzo pick from Flora, right?
Yeah.
He's able to find a little bit of action in that second phase of the map, but it seemed like it was a little bit hard for him to really utilize, I guess, or leverage Hanzo's long-range advantages to get them through the map quick.
Yeah, Hanzo, you're really rolling the dice. As much as you can sort of mitigate the odds as much as you want with just great play, it can be difficult to just find headshots and find the value that you need from a Hanzo. As the San Francisco Shock, they see what the Justice are playing, and here's the switch. Max onto the Diva, Probe on the Sombra, Proper on the Tracer. A pretty conventional dive style.
All right, already you see Max there towards the bottom right of your screen. Proper also in that position here. Max has well and truly made his way in. Probe also going to go ahead now. So there's a chance for Max to link up with Probe and Proper. So far we've seen San Francisco's dives with Junbin been really well executed. But this is what we wanted to see when we see Max get rotated in, Scott. So it's time for the judges to make their deliberation on how well this switch up works already. Point being attempted here by Probe, who's very low.
Yeah, the Justice, they're so slow with the composition, they can't rush anything down. So the Shock are trying to spread them thin, which is great. That's why they ended up getting a tick on the board, but eventually the picks will come through for the Justice. And that's a minute off the board, Mitch, where nothing was really gained from the Shock, only 50% to the EMP as well.
Right, you send Max in, he's sort of playing carefully from the fire station, and then you have your Probe Sombra on point, and he takes 2 arrows from Flora and goes down. All of a sudden, I guess you're trying to buy time for Proper to really make something happen there, but that also doesn't come to pass here. So the Shock are going to run the same play back, not necessarily with the EMP or any huge ultimates here. So let's see the same game plan presumably play out once more.
Probe 80% to this EMP now. He's trying to farm it up. You can see the backline of the Shock. They've taken this mega health room. The Justice are just trying to not allow Renko or the backline to really get in there. They're just putting so much pressure on. There he goes, and down he goes.
In a pretty decent spot here, getting topped up when he needs to be. Probe eventually finds Dunkel, and there is an EMP online right now, and Max tries to dive on in, but Alpha is going to be there with the focusing beam. Nothing Diva can do about that, but the EMP comes in. A quick duplicate from Alpha for some more durability, and now it's going to be a mech in play for the Justice. Extra durability and great mobility as well with Alpha switching there. And another great turnaround here. You can see this momentum bar shows the Justice definitely winning out in these last couple of engagements. It's been hard for the Shock to execute on this Diva play.
And that's why people don't play Diva on attack for the most part. You want the Winston because he has a more upfront value. The Diva, as you saw, can just get absolutely beamed by this Echo as Probe goes down early again. That's another 30 seconds off of the clock. But back to my previous point, Max, you raised the question, why is Junbin not in this lineup at this point? If they really wanted to play the Junker Queen, it feels like they should be committing to it, because now it feels like they're hamstrung playing this Diva instead of a Winston.
Time is ticking. 1 minute and 7 seconds left. It took the Justice plenty of time to hit point A. We're already 91.8% of the way there. It could happen. Proper's able to find Alpha Yi, finally the menace of the Echo taken out of the skies. There's really not much Terror can do from this position. Max is happy enough just disrupting any of the healing coming from the Nana, or eventually will return to finish the job. Job done indeed. San Francisco now, with this D.Va strat, looking to probably switch off a bit here, where they've made it work.
Yeah, deciding he doesn't want to keep that D.Va bomb. It's not an impactful ultimate going over to the Ramatra. Going to mirror in this one. Probe coming up to another EMP. But that was a great hold from the Washington Justice. They have to feel comfortable.
Okay.
Where is the backline of this high ground setup? Because you can see
they're taking a lot to get up here, right? Okay. Max obviously having switched the Ramatra here, so I feel like Hanzo can give you some value. Bear in mind there's another EMP on the table for San Francisco. It's a matter of getting up here, though, and so far, Flora's able to read this pretty effectively with the Sonic, so it's tough for Probe to sneak past.
They're going to go aggressive with the Annihilation and the Dragon Strike. You can see Alpha U trying to get something done, but it feels like they've walked into the trap of the San Francisco Shock. We asked, how did the Shock get onto the high ground to deal with the Justice? But the Justice make it easy for them and step into the jaws. I don't agree with that decision by the Justice, unfortunately.
I mean, this is like one of the most important parts of the map to really buy a lot of time, or rather burn clock off the attackers. San Francisco have got to be feeling so good about that because they don't even need to spend on Probe's ultimate to get what they came for. Being able to save it here for just outside of point B is absolutely monumental. And look at Probe's already looking and saying, okay, how do I set up here? Maybe probably catch the Ana. Then, they might be tracking a potential nano here. That's what Probe's looking at. And yep, Teru got to be hit by it. Is there enough time for Teru to get the ultimate away? He's under a lot of pressure and Probe has to get out. Mira gets a nano boost now and Max wants to push up. He's got one of his own and the Annihilation combo makes it all the more deadly. Where are you going to go, Teru? Back to spawn. FedEx at this point.
And the San Francisco Shock, they just know they had the ultimate advantage. Even though the EMP doesn't come up with dividends instantly, it just enables Max to close the distance and start punching people with the Annihilation. Now the Washington Justice, it feels like they're in a constant state of swapping ever since that mistake of going aggressive, and they're staggering Donghun on the brig. Welcome to the league.
Yeah, welcome back, bro. Yeah, this is how it be here. The mean streets of Overwatch League, they're going to get you. 2.5 minutes left in the round. You can see, obviously, the box of victory looming very closely here. Flora, after switching off the Hanzo to the Sombra, has been able to make decent progress towards its EMP. So the Justice have a couple of contingencies here to hold the Shock at bay, but even in unfavored engagements, the Shock have been able to come out on top a couple of times. This time, though, probably not. His Proper's already out of the mix. Max gets close. Nemesis form is kind of boxed into the corner by this wall. Alpha U, though, doesn't have a lot of assistance when it comes to the damage. He needs to be careful. A couple of right hooks being thrown there by Max, and there's that EMP from Flora Scott finally getting drawn out.
Yeah, I don't think Flora wanted to use that, but because we had Max living for just too long, decides it's better to be safe than sorry. Is he actually going to make a strange? Goes back to the Hanzo, realizing he might not actually get another EMP. He's better off going for something that might find instant value of the Hanzo. If you can hit a couple of headshots, that just like that, it could turn the tide of this map.
That's big. And again, you can play back by the train, or you can make use of the high ground here, as Flora's looking to do. This transition obviously will make it hard for San Francisco to keep track of him. Also, Sombra, Tracer, Ramatra can't really get up there, so relatively safe, even if fairly proximate to where the front line of the Shock is going to be right now.
And if you're the Justice, you're watching out for this wrecking ball of ultimates that the Shock are going to drop. Rally comes first.
Okay, Lukmino, Donghun both pop those ults. Donghun shield bashing back towards the rest of his team, but Max, he's let up. Nano boost, look at the EMP catching the backline, but it's really only Max that is tickling right now with this damage. That one falls flat for San Francisco. Maybe they were hoping on the timing of the Annihilation being a little bit quicker for Max here, but you're going to wish you had that one back, Scott. That from San Francisco looked a little lopsided.
You can see the idea from the Shock. They're just going to run over the brig, but great recognition from the Justice. Teru nanos Donghun. There's no chance that Max is ever going to take him down now. Shock goes to the pocket pick, proper over to the Echo. Lukmino was on the Mercy, switches back to the Lucio. They're in desperation, just trying to run him down. Maybe speed Max up in this Annihilation to find some value.
22 seconds to play. Max will be probing here. Annihilation is really all that San Francisco can count on. Max really needs to stick the landing here. Forces Ice Block from Alpha U. Good start. Hasn't used the Annihilation yet. He pops it coming out of that manual Nemesis form here. And Mira's going to be starting to feel the pinch. Not again. Washington concede the point. They're in a 4 versus 5, and Mira, I think, was the one that let it slip. Oh, that one's going to hurt in the morning, Scott. It's another map for San Francisco.
Rinko's smile gets a little bit wider after that C9, knowing that they might have gotten away with that one. As much as Max had the Annihilation rolling, I liked what the Washington Justice were doing. They potentially could have turned that one, but pretty fatal mistake, and the Shock take it up 2-0. I'm curious to see how this series is going to continue to evolve. Will we see more Max? Will we see any Ben Best? Because right now it feels like the Washington Justice, they're heavily relying on playing these Ramacha and a Brig compositions, but the San Francisco Shock just have their number.
Good looks here for the Shock, proper on the main, not something we tend to see often, and we sort of question it at times, like, okay, where's the room for skill expression here? But Proper is able to find that. Then the switch over towards the Tracer looked really good. Got to hand it to Probe here, setting up some great EMPs. I even think that last EMP of that round was very good. Just the rest of the tools maybe weren't in play for San Francisco. But Max has demonstrated, whereas the Diva, you know, whether it's a Ramacha or even Junker Queen at times, this guy has got a deep enough hero pool to make an impact here. And that's a scary prospect. San Francisco have got 2 tanks that are running on all cylinders that can come in at a moment's notice, and the Washington Justice just had to respond.
And that was something that the San Francisco Shock, Junbin and Max both said in interviews of, the reason you've seen so much of both of us is when we put a player in, we don't want it to be clear to the opposition what we're trying to do. They have the flexibility, regardless of which tank comes in, to do anything. That is a scary prospect, and it is starting to pay off for the San Francisco Shock.
Good looks for San Francisco, quite the revitalization they've had by the looks of things in the mid-season. Let's see, though, if they can make it a perfect 10. Stick around for Route 66, our 3rd map in this series. Washington Justice, your time is running out. You need an answer for the San Francisco team, and you need it 10 minutes ago. Junbin coming in now, keeping it fresh, continuing to mix it up for San Francisco. And we look to the Justice here, and maybe Scott to their DPS to be difference makers in this next map.
Yeah, you can see, I believe that's Get Amaze giving Flora a back rub. I think that's what they need. The Washington Justice, as much as they are a fully formed team, they have great players. The Justice with Flora and Alpha Yi, they've been the tip of the spear. They've been the people who are always drawing first blood, and it doesn't feel like they've had that impact or made their mark in this series so far.
An opportunity, though, to rewrite that history as we head into Route 66. I mean, Alpha Yi's been the kind of player that, needed no introduction, Scott, when he came into the North American region. Anybody even taking a cursory glance at the results that happened in the APAC region would know this guy is the real deal. Flora as well, a player that was, for some time, kind of being groomed to be like the next sort of solo build-around star, franchise player, whatever you want to call him. Maybe hasn't panned out in just that way, but it's turned up when it really matters, right? Whether it's even on hit scan-based picks, whether it's on the Sombra, he's really had a lot of time to start to define that role more effectively here. And then being able to switch to Tracer if we kind of had to, allowing Alpha Yi to go and do what had to be done. We're definitely looking at that front line, well, that DPS line rather, from the Justice. And Mirror as well has got a lot on his plate. Now he's dealing with a different beast again in Junbin, and Junbin's dive, we'll see it defensively here, Scott. It's been very good so far.
Yeah, Mirror has so far been playing the Ramatra, almost tending away from that Winston. Maybe not as confident in going toe-to-toe with a player like Junbin, but on a map like Route 66, this is a Sombra playground. This is going to be somewhere you have to play the dive. So now we get to see this matchup, Junbin versus Mirror. I'm also curious if maybe if we end up at the second point, will Junbin switch over to the Wrecking Ball?
All right, out of the gates we come. Alpha Yi on the Echo. Probe looking to clip those wings as early and often as possible. Already making his way for a foray into that backline here. Probe also taking his time. Is sort of aware of the threat of Alpha Yi, and there's nothing that naturally counters that on the Shock's composition, right? Obviously, Sombra can make it pretty hard for that mobility to be a factor. Renko will like to pressure. Already here, translocated by Probe, as we start to see Alpha Yi stretch a little bit further forward. Flora, the same. Now starting to tickle that front line.
Yeah. Johnny asked an interesting question heading into this match. Is Flora's Tracer going to be up to snuff? Alpha Yi is the Echo and Tracer player for this team, so Flora needs to fill in when Alpha Yi is playing the Echo. He's doing some probing and prodding, as you said, and the Justice are getting positioning, but no picks have been found.
Junbin there being forced to counter dive back towards his team as Mirror got in there and set to work with that Tesla cannon. Here's a nano boost. Renko able to build that up really quickly based on all the pressure his team's been under. But it's a fantastic whip shot, I think, there from Donghun to force back Junbin. Alpha Yi with a Duke Winston here. Note that 300 HP, but guess what? Primal Rage rewrites all the rules, and now Renko is in for a riotous time. Alpha Yi in his face. A bit awkward the positioning though now, and he's to amble back towards the rest of his team. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, Alpha Yi goes so aggressive with that Primal Rage, forces the backline of the Shock, so the rest of the team for the Shock were just left out to dry. You can see, look at how little health Junbin has. Probe goes down, and that Primal Rage by Alpha Yi, as much as it didn't get anything done for himself, it helps his entire team take this first point.
And so yeah, the Justice really laying it on thick. That's why Renko builds at Nano Boost so early, because he's desperately trying to keep his team topped up. Alpha Yi there, I think maybe he must have sticky bombed the translocator there from Probe.
He did.
And Probe gets caught out as a result of it. So even though Alpha Yi's like kind of out of position behind the Shock, he actually secures a kill just by focusing that down, which is really impressive stuff. And hey, the Justice, 4 minutes 25 to work with here. Good start on Route 66.
Probe makes the switch over to the Ash, and you see Alpha Yi respond instantly, goes over to the Sombra, and there's the pressure from Mirror to follow. Yeah,
nice connection. A little bit tough for Probe there. I do like the Ash pick as they transition into this part of the map, but against a nanoed Winston, there's really not much you can do, even with that coach gun. Junbin Primal here.
Didn't get any value. I didn't even see where it was.
Just pushing up.
Probe switches over to the Sombra as well, going to match that one, but Alpha Yi's already coming up to his own EMP.
Yeah, he's made it pretty quick. Alpha Yi having switched off the Echo himself. A couple of fights ago. Here comes Junbin now. Nano for him. And can't get anything done because the rally was there for Donghun. Jumping back to the high ground now and just going to have to wait his turn and wait out that rally. Pulse Bomb here for both Traces, but as you said, Alpha E encroaching ever closer to that EMP. Had to be defensive Bionade there up on that high ground as Flora's Pulse Bomb got some splash damage.
How is Alpha E going to drop this one? He can see the backliner up there, and it's going to be right onto Renko, and Renko can't hold up to anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Renko's been dealing with the School of Hard Knocks for the last couple of days, Scott. This one, no different. The focus on the Ana. That's the win condition for the Justice, and so far, it is working out beautifully. I've got to say, I mean, Junbin had an opportunity there to really start to put pressure down, but Donghun just holding his rally for the Nano Winston. Perfect answer. So it's been really efficient ultimate trades here from the Justices as they've made their way through the second phase of the map.
And with some of these late staggers, are the San Francisco Shock going to get this opportunity? Probe is coming with the EMP, and they are going to take this fight.
Okay, here it is, EMP. Mira already extended quite far forward and hit with that Biter Grenade. Still happy to stand his ground. He knows the Primal Rage is coming up and he got a nano boost from Teru. Completely inoculated from the effects of that EMP, and once more, Probe isn't able to get follow-up to come past that ultimate. Gas Sleep Dart on that high ground, but Probe's been taken down by Donghun and Renko again under pressure, having to defensively Bionade himself. And Flora's going to be there with the Pulse Bomb. It's another backline ripped to shreds. And the Justice are absolutely hooning through this map, Scotty.
I like the reference of hooning. Only in an Australian caster you're going to get that one.
But your VL Commodore, baby! In the Woolies car park, Scott!
Oh, you love to see it, mate. VB in one hand at the Woolies car park. You know that we hyped up Renko and Luke Mino. We said that they were holding up, but so far in this map, the Washington Justice, they're just putting out too much pressure, and the San Francisco Shock have not been able to respond in the same way they have in this series. 3 minutes remaining, a lot of time to cap through this third point.
But there's just no reason here for San Francisco not to be able to find a way to stabilize. There's Proper coming up when they need him to. With Teru out of the picture here, it's a pretty cheaply won fight. And a bigger window for Probe to work back towards that EMP. It's been back and forth switching off the Sombra here, where he had that short stint on the Ashe, after which he just got absolutely slammed by Mira diving in here. So San Francisco want to get back to the ult cycling we've seen them do really efficiently in the first couple of maps. But hang about, Probe, despite losing his transfer cannons, able to find a kill. So at worst, it's a trade. I think you're okay with that.
Absolutely okay with that. You will trade your Sombra for the Ana any day of the week. And Probe is already coming up to this EMP as well. The question is, are the Washington Justice going to be able to sort of find any positioning while the Sombra's not there and that threat of the EMP is not there? Alfie looking for an EMP of his own. He's found Luke Mino, but can they follow this far back?
He's trying. I think he realizes, wait a minute, we're a little bit too deep. Flora was there, but I don't think Mira was in position to follow up. But hey, this is a problem for the Justice. They kind of tip their hand that they're looking for an engagement, and the San Francisco Shock capitalized. Junbin here gets his primal away, so even though the EMP came in and had some effect, the Shock have been able to shrug it off for the most part. Junbin knows he doesn't have to go too aggressive here. Just create this spacing, buy time for his backline to regroup, and Mira can't get out alive.
Alfie deciding, even one player down, that with the positioning of the Shock, they could turn that fight. It just wasn't enough with the rally from Luke Mino and everything else. And now, they used a lot of ultimates. Yes, as much as they're getting some picks now, the Justice, they don't have any way to get in anymore. Only Mira's Primal Rage. Can he come up clutch when they need him most? But he's going to jump in. Probe has an EMP, whatever he decides to do.
That Flora Pulse Bomb is interesting, right? That's a lost fight. You've got to think for the Justice. He goes for it anyway. Alfie's able to translocate out from that EMP. Probe only catching the DPS from the Justice. Stick here from Proper, able to recall away. Junbin's in trouble though. Gets hit with a Biter Grenade and is taken down to about 40% HP. Mira though has to use Primal Rage. Proper likely forcing that out with the Pulse Bomb stick earlier. Then the Justice here have to regroup and go again. Renko has a nano, that's big for Junbin. If he wants to make the dive here towards Teru, it's likely to be effective. There's no rally in play for Donghun to keep that backline standing, and Renko's going to line this one up here. Wait for his chance, but the Justice are backing away again. EMP here's for Alpha, but they've lost Teru at the start of the fight, and they're using nano just as we predicted.
Washington Justice, they're trying to stabilize, but it feels like every time they try to do anything, the Shock have a response. Alfie's holding on to this EMP, trying to bait them in, but then Teru goes down. The Shock have struggled in the first 2 points to be able to play their game, but on this third point, they're firmly in control, and we're in last fight territory for the Justice. Silver lining, they have a lot of ultimates to give though, Mitch.
17 seconds left in the round at this point. Just a map completion for the Justice would even be disappointing, but it's the way it goes. They've lost about 3 minutes on this phase of the map as the Shock have found their footing. Now the Justice need to unseat them with a sheer weight of ultimates, I suppose. Here's the EMP coming in. Lumino able to avoid pressures. Probe going to build towards his, though, as Alpha at least sticks that kill on towards the
he missed the Mega!
Renko, yeah, he doesn't go towards the Mega health pack. That was hacked. That was his alone. He could have had it, but he gets taken down. The Justice, again, expend these ultimates. Junbin has good stall with the Primal Rage. Probe can EMP after the fact they come in at the same time, and Flora is going to be taken down. Probe under pressure, but Mirror can't connect. He's hacked and couldn't make the jump on the Sombra. Now Junbin's going to force him back. Going to be a hack on Junbin, of course, but Flora is down with that pulse bomb available, and there's so much health for this Winston. Lumino with the rally, more healing if you needed it. And the Justice come up short. Junbin buys enough time with the Primal Scott, and the Shock come back in with a big EMP.
That was the San Francisco Shock that we know and we love and we expect, when they can put the players on the tempo, when they can keep their backline alive. Renko and Lumino doing a phenomenal job of just creating that distance from their team so that the Justice could never find an avenue to the backline without being pressured by the San Francisco Shock, and Proper and Junbin and Probe getting it done. Now, the question is, can the San Francisco Shock best on their own attack? If they were going to play a Wrecking Ball, Mitch, this would be the time.
I mean, you're getting me hyped for a Scotty.
I'm hyped for it. I want to see it. I was so excited seeing it yesterday. It's such a unique thing that not many players in the Overwatch League can do. Junbin has been lauded by so many pro players as one of the best Wrecking Balls in the world, and we haven't seen it this year. So I want to see him go back to that, unless they don't feel like they need it in this series.
No.
Oh, Lumino, don't do it. No, Lumino.
He steps into it. No. Are you kidding me? And then Probe goes down. Right after that, here's the follow-up, Scott.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Ridiculous stuff. Oh my goodness. Big shout out to Observer Crew for catching that. I knew something fishy was going on because I saw the elimination of the translocator pop up and I had no idea where it was supposed to be. I think Alpha, you just claim that he meant that. That's fine. Let him have it.
Calculated. Going over to the attack, Junbin not gonna play the Wrecking Ball, sticking to the Winston. It is working right now. He's playing well on this Winston, so you can't fault him for that one. Watching Justice playing a little bit further forward just to get some ultimate charge, but you will see them back up. I'm surprised Probe was able to get both mega health packs before the fight has even started. That's a big deal. Those really help your tanks play the game.
Yeah, this guy's on that Monopoly board, bro. He's already bought Mayfair. Don't you worry about it. He's setting up for the long game. He's chilling. Mirror caught again. That's unfortunate there. I think it was a Bionade that really made it tough. But it's been a lot of pressure onto Mirror, especially from Renko. That's his second Bionade just in this attacking round, making it very hard to keep your Winston in the fight.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of Winston inexperience from Mirror. Just getting picked a little bit there first, but now the Shock, they're in control. You can see Renko's going to have positioning. He's going to play far back, and Junbin's just holding the doors. How did the Justice get back into this fight?
Well, slowly is the ticket. Flora's pulse maybe on Junbin is a little bit low. He's taking his time getting healed up. Proper though, really keeping these flankers at bay. It's going to be Terror with an nano boost on towards Mirror. Tough to make something happen with this though. It's going to be a trade. Both Briggs are out of the picture here. But Junbin goes a step further. No healers available for the Washington Justice. They're going to be dashed aside here outside point A.
Yeah, as much as that's a great stick there from Flora onto Lumino, they just took too much damage trying to come through those tunnels. And the San Francisco Shock are blistering fast first point cap, and this is just the amount of damage that Junbin did in this small room, and that's why it's so difficult.
Oh, the timing on the prime, not just the spacing. The fact that you make it virtually impossible to get value from your healers anyway, but then finishing the job, that is big. Already an EMP thrown in here by Probe. The Shock really want to push quite a long way ahead of the card. And in doing so, they do get that Brig, but Renko's picked off by Alpha, at least able to put some reciprocal pressure on the Shock's backline. But again, no healers for the Justice. The Shock should be able to move up, and they're going to go for the EMP anyway. That is harebrained, to say the least. Lumino down, but Alpha gives up his life for his hubris.
A questionable choice there from Alpha Yi. The respawns from the Shock are going to come faster. Even if you are trading 1-for-1, that's not advantageous. And now they don't have an EMP of their own to get back into this fight. They do still have the rally, they have the primal, so they have tools in their woodwork, but the San Francisco Shock, that was the one thing that it cost them, and now they're even.
Proper here wants to try and take this high ground, but he knows he needs to serve himself up in LOS to Renko, at the very least. They can't linger. Back to the high ground, Mira really wants to fight for that, and Junbin hangs around a little bit too long again. Line of sight to supports might have been an issue there, and it's a freebie for the Justice. A chance to stabilize now, and Mira's going to be very hard to evict from this room, I can tell you that. This is going to get drawn out. Oh, rally? Sorry? Bionic Grenade on Mira, he just primals, but he's put to sleep. What an interesting exchange. Both these teams taking some big risks, Scott.
Yeah, both teams trying to throw ultimates at the problem. It's not the cleanest gameplay, but you know, anything works at this point. The gloves are off. Nano onto Mira, going into the backline. Can he take down Renko? Yes, but it's traded on the other side.
Yeah, Mira whip shot away from Lukemino, so only one support kill. He'll go to the Nanoed Winston here. Fists are flying on the high ground, but again, Mira is able to establish himself. And now the Shock probably want to take a breather here. Both teams playing on a knife edge here. Throwing a lot of these key ultimates in. They lost Donghun, and yet the trade's going to be there. Probe goes down, able just to find the single kill. Surely you take a breath here as San Francisco and regroup.
I don't think so. With that pick onto Donghun, you have the healing advantage. You know Pro's going to be back faster. Washington Justice recognize and go even quicker than the Shock could.
Renko's able to give a Nano to Proper, of all people. And he has a limited number of targets. That cart, though, getting scarily close to the objective. Oof. Oh my goodness, Mira. The combo there looks like a whip shot came Proper's way, and even with the Nano boost, he gets taken down. The damage mitigation just not sufficient.
Point.
Junbin sleeping on the high ground, but Probe sneaking in. Has to translocate out. Primal, though, now. This is going to force the backline away again. And Junbin gets rid of the Brig. Once more returning to the cart. The Shock are just going for it now. Hell for leather. They're going to have this second checkpoint and have over 3 minutes to work with for this last phase of the map. What chaotic fighting.
There hasn't been a stop at any point throughout this entirety of the second point. Let's see if the San Francisco Shock will keep with that trend. But Junbin actually recognizing how difficult it is to play the Winston in this indoor sort of center, that he goes over to the Ramatra. That will give him more health, and after he gets picked early, the San Francisco Shock are going to up the tempo.
There it is. Starting to stack up that momentum here. Proper getting rid of Mira, and look at it, refusing to be unseated from the high ground. He sees an opportunity to extend and gets rid of Flora. No one wants that mega health pack on the high ground, apparently. Donghun not hanging around, knows he has to back away and try and group up with the rest of his team, but this card getting ever closer to the objective here. 245, rally up for Lukemino, so a Nanoed Winston might not necessarily be the answer for the Justice.
Afi goes over to the Hanzo, almost a desperation pick, just trying to find any value. Understands that there are some big ultimates coming up for the Shock, EMP and Rally.
Probe harassing Alpha Yi there, a hack, and then trying to follow up with the Uzi. San Francisco just biding their time. They know they've got a really healthy time bank here, and they don't want to rush this. Credit to them for really modulating their approach as opposed to that previous part of the map where they just went for it over and over. Junbin forced well back. A nice bio-nade for Terry to relieve some pressure that was being generated by the Shock's front line. Miro wants to go for Renko once more. Bubble down Lukemino to the rescue, though. It's Alpha Yi winning against Proper. The Hanzo finds success against the Tracer and builds the Dragon Strike for the next fight.
That was such a big pick by Alpha Yi onto Proper. Without that Tracer damage, without that a nuisance that was just going to exist in the backline, there's no legs in the dive, and the Nano goes to the wayside. All of a sudden, this 3-minute time bank that the Shock had is halved, and they're out of ultimates. They used the rally, they used everything, the Nano. So Proper with a pulse bomb needs to be the one to come up clutch. If he can stick Donghun the Brig from the Justice, that could give him a window of opportunity.
In fairness, we saw a similar situation happen in Midtown, right? The Shock are so close to the objective, to finishing the map, and a couple stumbles ends up making it a much closer affair. The rally for Donghun pretty big. Proper, though, can really punish with a pulse bomb. Teru won't be able to throw a Nano out and keep that Brigitte alive. Could be a big play. Is Probia on this Hanzo? To see how this plays out. I like the Dragon Strike here. Junbin's under a lot of pressure, but is able to hunker down and withstand much of this damage. Probia's living up to his name in every sense of the word right now, but Proper needs to find some place for this pulse bomb to go, and hey, that's a stick. That's what they're looking for. Alpha Yi is down. Junbin could go in now with the Annihilation, Scott. This could be over. Sleep and Bio, though. Good little combination there on Junbin, and the Justice get rid of the Ramatra before the ultimate can really do its damage.
And without that front line, they cannot take this fight. Even though they're in a 4v4, they just can't step up. There's just too much damage. So that will be a reset as the San Francisco Shock, they're now in last fight territory, and they don't have many ultimates. Junbin just was not able to find the value with the Annihilation.
Terry comes up clutch there, Scott.
Yeah,
Bio
huge.
Sleep on Junbin. absolutely massive gamer right now, and he has a nano to deploy, so could be a difference maker here. The Shock now, they really don't have ultimates, like actually don't have any ticks right now.
They got a dragon strike.
Get a body shot on Flora there. Yeah, builds the dragon. Karu chilling. Okay, so the Shock shut down that right-hand side of the map. Hang on, Alpha, you're getting caught there. Mira quickly able to find a haymaker and connection on proper in the front line, and Junbin's here with a nano boost here. Mira's holding onto this annihilation, waiting for the opportune time to deploy, and apparently that's now. Junbin gets a defensive biter grenade to the front line, and he can withstand that ultimate from Mira. Mira's forced away, has to now play for the high ground, and Junbin is encroaching. But Renko's down. Flora finds a key pulse bomb stick, getting rid of the Yana. Means there's no way they can keep Junbin in the fight. Luke Mina with the rally, though, really the last hope for his team. That life is cut short as well, as Proper and Probe are unable to make the difference. They cannot bridge the gap, and the Justice will stay alive in this series.
We said that Flora and Alfie needed to step up if the Washington Justice were going to bring this series back. That they did. An enormous stick onto Renko in that final fight gives them enough time to be able to hold the point. You can see the Washington Justice, they feel comfortable in this Ramacha mirror. That's where they want to be. They don't want to take this Winston mirror, so the third point is their playground, and they get one on the board.
Great looks here from Mira, 12 and 7, 15 final blows from Flora though. The kind of person we said, you know, yeah, he'll pick up whatever role he has to sort of facilitate. This time he has the chance to play Tracer, and Alpha Yi actually is on the Sombra for much of the time. And Flora shows he's good for it. He can step into a role that really offers that level of skill expression, but requires a huge impact, and he delivers. Up against the likes of Proper, up against the likes of Junbin, which is a big deal. You can see the game plan developing here for the Justice, right? It's all about getting onto that Ana, punishing this newer, I guess this greener backline for San Francisco. Scott, at this level, as you know full well, a lot of pressure on you here when a team wants to try and focus you down, and that just adds to the tally.
Absolutely. When you're a newer player, when you're the rookie, especially when you're playing with players of the likes of Proper, this guy is an MVP. This guy is one of the best to ever play the game. You understand that pressure is on you to perform. So when it feels like you are becoming the weak link, that can start weighing on you. So I want to see a bounce back from the San Francisco Shock supports. Can they hold back on and get back to their previous form?
More Overwatch for you on a Friday afternoon. Don't go too far as the Justice keep alive here on Route 66. It's New Queen Street coming up. Well, the Justice, they invest big in that DPS line for a reason, and this time they were able to have the impact you'd want to see. 9.4 final blows, love that, and 2.3 pulse bomb kills here for Flora, really making it happen. What a key player, especially in the last moments of that map.
We had the questions, and I brought it up in that map of, is Flora able to have that flexibility to enable Alpha to play these other heroes? And I think he silenced the doubters right here. That was an incredible Tracer performance against probably one of the best Tracers in the world. Some would say he is. So Flora is such an important piece. I doubted him. You know, you said he was that franchise player for the New York Excelsior in the past, and it didn't really come to fruition. We never really saw him take that next step. While now he's alongside Alpha Yi, he's on this Washington Justice. I really think he's starting to hit that next level.
Notice that obviously Flora has more pulse bomb kills, but quite significantly less pulse bomb attach rate here. It's got a lot to do with the fact that Proper's often trying to stick Mirror with these pulses, but Teru and Donghun turning around and making sure they can keep Mirror in the fight in many of these occasions has been really important. Mirror's been getting a lot of value. I think he goes 12 and 7 over the course of that map. Whereas Flora is going in and sticking Renko, sticking Lupamino, finding a guaranteed kill on a backliner and, you know, cutting the shock down to size before the fight can really begin. Just a small difference, I guess, in approach, or maybe it's just coincidence that it played out that way. But whichever way you put it, Flora definitely the more impactful Tracer in the lobby on Route 66.
And that is a difference between Tracer players, everyone in the league. Everyone has their preferences. Some people like to get the consistency of the tank, but just in that map, you saw Flora had high impact sticks. Time and time again, he was getting them onto the backline that just made it so difficult for the entire San Francisco Shock to play the game. It is the nail in the coffin that ended up taking down the San Francisco Shock in Route 66. Can he keep up this level of performance? Will Flora stay on the Tracer is actually a better question, because now we're on New Queen Street. Will Flora go back to the Sombra and Alpha Yi on the Tracer?
No reason not to have a Sombra, I think, on this map. A lot of great routes for her. Can be pretty hard to spy check her. A lot of conveniently located packs. We've seen so much Sombra on New Queen Street so far this year. Again, this has been the kind of map where we've seen teams like Opta play, like a really brawly Junker Queen-centric style. That's something that we've seen Mirror attempt at least on Oasis. So there's a bunch of options here. But I think the Justice go to their bread and butter, the rush style that, you know, they can switch to playing Winston if they had to. We sort of saw that. I think Mirror combined really well with Teru, especially when those nanos were up to get in there and pressure people like Renko down. But this is what we're talking about, right? This Junker Queen, Kiriko, Lucio setup for the Shock. This could be a lot of fun.
It's very different to what we've seen, you know, from a lot of teams. The Junker Queen works well against the Winston, but is it going to have that same level of effectiveness against the Ramatra? I would usually say the Ramatra is favored in this head-to-head, but there is also a unique difference in the backline. The Washington Justice playing the Ana Brig will have more healing, but the Shock have the tempo. With the Lucio Kiriko, they can hack and identify and take down anyone at a moment's notice.
Got to be a test of that cohesion for sure to make this composition work. Generally, the Ramatra rush has been considered more robust. Lumino doggedly defending Renko there, turning around and forcing Flora right away. We'll see here the Proper playing towards that low ground on the Mei here. So again, we saw Proper on the Mei earlier in the series. Worked out pretty well, but hey, can't ice block when you hack. Great selection of target there from Flora.
I don't like how slow the Shock are playing. They were able to push the Sombra out, but then didn't use that as an opportunity to go. If you're going to play the Lucio Kiriko, you need to be proactive. You're not going to beat the Justice playing reactive, because they just have more healing and they have more damage.
We're going to see Lumino switch to Mercy here, or will it just be like an unpocketed Echo? What do you make of this switch from Proper?
Proper seems to be every time they're in a corner, he just goes Echo and hopes that he can take over this game. Without the Mercy, he's going to be less effective, but we've seen so many players be so strong with the Echo and just absolutely take over the server.
Alpha Yi, definitely one of them. But he won't have that luxury here. He's forced to play within the structure, but his Mei has been excellent in so many of the Justice's outings this year. The Justice get an early lead, right? They push up. A lot of it's off the back of picking Proper up. Now, a chance for the Shock to show what this comp is supposed to do. Get flattened by Mirror, apparently.
Look at the sheer amount of distance that they were trying to cross. They even had a Kitsune rush to help them close that distance, but they didn't even really get close. It cost them everything just to trade for Teru. Mirror's just the bouncer, just punching anyone who's not allowed through. And the Washington Justice might get a very quick first cap here, Mitch.
I mean, goodness, they're close. I mean, Probe's going to have to reveal himself here. He does. Quick translocate out there, Vortex thrown down, and that's scary prospect for Proper, surely. He has to duplicate up, and it looks like the Shock have done enough to stall this out and get moving back the other direction.
Renko has switched over to the Ana, deciding that that long-range healing might be better. They have the ultimates up, they have the EMP, they have the Echo duplicate as well. But Justice has just as many ults in their bank as well.
Teru hacked here, suffering some pressure from Probe. Proper though, have to be careful here. He's got to be held up by Renko. Looks like he's going to make the dupe here. Ramatra is in play for Proper. And Junbin has that Rampage online. Proper hack, but he's going to have an annihilation here in 5 seconds to make it work. He lets that one go straight away, but they've lost Junbin. Proper has to be the proxy frontliner here, and he can't stay in that form for long. The Blizzard going to be thrown down here by Alpha. That's a problem as Renko gets frozen stiff and then eliminated by Alpha. The Justice have all the answers right now.
Yeah, the Justice are just completely in control because it doesn't feel like the San Francisco Shock composition can do anything, and you're going to see Junbin agree with me because he's going to give up the Rampage to switch to Ramatra. Luke Mino goes over to the Brig as well, realizing what they're selling isn't working and trying to go for a more mirror composition.
Starting to see some of those cracks emerge here in the Shock's game plan. When you have a 3-0 series, you don't have to play push.
Yeah.
Now, though, seeing maybe some of their weaknesses laid a little bare, we are going to see them sort of kiss the ring somewhat and play this rush style proper. Still, though, adamant that the Echo is going to be the answer here. But kind of hard to see that play out, but he's going to get given a nano boost here. So this is time to put up a shut up. He is slept. Probe's going to be able to find elimination on Teru. So we take that and feel the shot. Junbin having to fold away from Mirror right now in this annihilation, right? Annihilation. Scary prospect for Junbin, but Mirror is under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, without the Ana, Teru going down, as much as you traded that one back, Teru just is all the healing. Mirror just can't get his health bar back up and will eventually fall. So the San Francisco Shock's finally starting to get some meterage on the board.
Duplicate here again for Proper. Last time it was Ramatra, which he's done before. A lot of Echoes that we see really just going over towards the Ana because of that extra value afforded to you, plus like a free nano boost is really hard to pass up. Okay, spy checking him before. he gingerly steps around that back.
Maybe not.
Looks like he really wants to make sure Proper gets affected by this, or at least Junbin.
You can, he almost makes the recognition. The backline's so far back, maybe it's better to EMP the frontline or isolate a frontliner target, because how does anyone else on the Justice close this distance to follow up an EMP? Both teams are having this issue with their Sombras.
Blizzard here, Junbin well and truly caught, but of course that annihilation's still ticking, so the Justice, frustrated, have to step back. Proper goes in again, dupes a Ramatra, but my goodness, he just gets blown to smithereens. Taken out of dupe and then flattened by Mirror. And the Justice here looking really comfortable. If they can set up a situation where they can play this rush comp for the rest of this series and the Shock can't mirror it with any level of effectiveness, that's scary. Proper looks like he's allergic to playing mate. I'm not doing this. He's on the Tracer now.
It's a moral thing for Proper. He's like, I will not do this to everybody and the viewers at home. I'm going to play Tracer, I'm going to play Echo, and honestly, I respect it. But we need to see him come up clutch on this Tracer. As much as it's almost unfair what we expect from Proper, they need him to start coming alive if they're going to turn this map around.
Junbin able to shrug off the bio nade. Now in he goes. Throw some fists here. Mirror looking a little bit low. Teru peeks out at maybe the wrong time as Junbin flattens him as well. And that wasn't even annihilation. Just a good old Nemesis form. Now what's the thinking behind popping that here?
I feel like Luke Mino has almost like a panic moment of, if I fall to this Ramatra, potentially we lose this team fight. But us as the observers have a clear-cut idea of what was going on in that team fight. Was absolutely not necessary. That could cost them as Flora and Alpha Yi get closer up to ultimates. Even Mirror's annihilation, they would love to have that rally to deal with the oppressive nature of that ultimate.
In the last 90 seconds, Scott, San Francisco have really tightened things up. Proper, the switch to Tracer could have been a difference maker. Having two support ultimates to use, yeah, probably even more so. Here's the pulse from Proper. No connect. Teru's able to dodge away from that one. His aging limbs able to carry him to safety. Alpha here having an ice block, but look at this, it's the Blizzard play now. How do you respond to this if you're San Francisco Shock? Again, Junbin gets frozen solid inside that annihilation. Oh, the timing doesn't pay off for him, but Proper's able to strike at the heart of the Justice here by eliminating Teru. And that's why the Justice don't push up any further than this.
They can't push their advantage as much as they would love to sort of force away this shock, move the bot back a little bit. They just don't have the healing. Junbin making an interesting swap over to the Doomfist. I don't know if I love this one. We know he is a good Doomfist. Maybe he sees something that I don't, but the Ramacha's going to get more neutral value, and that's just, that's almost a statement right there, EMP.
I mean, he's not going to look good in a fight where he gets EMP'd immediately, I suppose. Probe at least is able to find Teru, so the Shock have two supports to work with, and Donghun actually has to pop rally, so you're not feeling terrible about it. But sometimes we see the Doomfist switch to get back into the fight quicker. Junbin, though, must have other plans here, hoping for more from this switch, maybe hoping to just, move it around the place, make it harder for Ramatra to stand where he wants to. Look, I'll hold judgment for now. I'll withhold, my judgment on Junbin.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off. We'll see if he can get anything done. You can see the San Francisco Shock, they're trying to wrap around. Even Luke Mino was causing problems. Junbin's getting low, forced to back up. But this fight is on a knife's edge. As much as the Justice feel like they've been in control, they don't have that much of an advantage. They're trying to take down Teru, but with the Doomfist, it just doesn't feel like they have as much punching power as they really need.
The Nano Tracer again, question marks abound. Republic's able to find a couple kills late in the fight. Junbin goes into power block, able to dodge away from Alpha Yi, who's been a persistent threat in this fight. Dodge those icicles, Alpha Yi, just too canny. Catches the Doomfist, and again, the Shock get bundled out of dodge. Again, really only like a meter separates these two teams, but Alpha Yi Scott is having a game. 8-1 right now.
Yeah, he has been everywhere on this May, and the Shock haven't been able to dislodge him. That kill onto Probe as well automatically flips the card back in the side of the Washington Justice, which is what they sorely needed. They're one team fight away from losing this one. 60 seconds remaining, as the announcer said.
I love the hack though on Junbin, makes it hard to punish Alpha Yi. I don't think he wants to ice block in such neutral territory, but Junbin's not in a position to capitalize. Still on this Doomfist, all right. Meteor strike now. Some information.
Whoa.
What
I don't think that's
plan, Junbin? I'm a little confused.
I'm getting less answers and more questions every time I watch this Doomfist. Unable to do anything. Another solo EMP from Flora onto Junbin. They know it's just a free isolation, and now they're running down the back line. 20 seconds remaining, Mitch. The Shock are running out of time.
Scotty, Junbin's cooking, but I hope he keeps that spag bog to himself, because he's not doing anything for me. I'll give you the big tip. That was questionable at best. I appreciate Junbin showing us his mechanics was sort of wrecking ball. Very impressive. Yes, love that. However, you need to derive a positive result in this next team fight if you want to have a chance at ending the series here. A map 5 could be huge for the Justice, and here's that EMP. Donghun down straight away. Teru, though, has a chance to part with this nano boost after the rally, after the EMP expires, but the Justice know they'll let this swing back. They still have a chance to end the round here after they regroup.
That was a great fight for the San Francisco Shock, only having to use the EMP, and you can see the Justice not wanting to commit to that fight, considering they lost Donghun so early. This is going to come down to this last fight, and there is so many ultimates coming up. Justice have 4 in their bank. Proper throws a pulse bomb, does go wide, so they don't have that one anymore either. So they only have support ultimates on the side of San Francisco Shock. They need to come up with magic.
Maybe 2 fights here for the Justice, though, Scott, as that checkpoint was not achieved. That's big. Proper, hello, Teru brings it down. Nah, this is over. The Justice here, take it up a notch. Still the Doomfist for Junbin. He gets nano, but frozen. Sniff, and he'll be finished by Donghun and co. The Washington Justice hang on, and they're starting to get a feel, a read on the Shock. We're going to map 5, folks.
I have no words. I don't understand this Doomfist pick. This has been an issue that it feels like the San Francisco Shock have been dealing with throughout this entire year. Is just their tank players don't look comfortable, and that's just a bad choice. I didn't understand if it was going to get any value. It absolutely didn't get any value, but I do want to give props to the Washington Justice. They reacted perfectly. You saw Flora recognize, you're going to do that, I'm going to make your life hell. Just absolutely hitting with everything. They even started on the Junker Queen. Like, I don't understand these compositions. They can go toe-to-toe in the mirror. Why aren't they?
The Justice here, I mean, Alpha Yi 9-2, Mirror 7-2. Stepping up in a big way. Proper says, I don't want to play mate because I don't get to be flashy, I don't get to do the things, I don't get a big positive KD. Well, Alpha Yi there, shuts him up well and truly. We saw Proper attempt the Echo, duping Ramatra on multiple occasions. Eventually going back to the Tracer, and that seemed to be better for San Francisco, but they're a little bit loose, a little bit too loose right now, Scott. And I'm not talking about Schooley's loose. I'm talking about the kind that loses you series. Keep an eye on the San Francisco shot team. They're going to have to absolutely get their ducks in a row, as Busan is looming as our 5th map in the series. The Washington Justice are threatening a reverse sweep. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco are pushed to the limit in their 2nd series with this new look roster. Shaky start for the Washington Justice, but they figure it out. Mira stays in a tank, of course. He deals with a revolving door of opponents, but it's the rush comp that leads this team to success and forces us all the way. Let's see what the Shock have up their sleeves. Have they had enough time to develop contingencies, Scott? Situations such as these.
I don't even think they need to go into the contingency playbook. I think they just need to play straight up. That's how they won these first 2 maps. They were just playing their game. They were playing well. And now it feels like they're cooking too much. They've burnt everything to the ground. Honestly, you go to Busan, you can play to your strengths. I think we put the Junbin Doomfist on the shelf, we leave that one be. Play the Winston, play the Ramatra, play the Wrecking Ball of all things. Play to your strengths that have given you the advantage, because right now, because Junbin is doing that revolving door, feels like Flora and Alpha Year just taking over the game, and there's no response from the Shock.
Yeah, give these guys enough room and they will start to make their impact felt. Man, Flora really impressed us after those first couple of maps. So it may well come to pass that the Wrecking Ball gets delivered to us here, Scotty. San Francisco, gonna have to put it together here, and I think the Zen choice would be interesting, especially against a composition that features, I don't know, Tracer, Sombra, Winston, any combination of the above. But San Francisco are gonna come out with the Zen.
Wow, that's a bold strategy. When Flora and Alpha are just playing this well, Luke Mino has utmost confidence in himself. It makes sense why you're playing the Zenyatta. Your backline just rotates together while you give the freedom for the ball to essentially create a lot of pressure. Let's see how the Washington Justice adapt to this as Proper takes Flora down without us even seeing him on the map.
Do you think that Luke Mino is playing Zen just in case there is like a slower moving Ramatra comp? Do you think like they maybe just misread what the Justice might play? Or
Absolutely.
is this legit?
No, I absolutely think they expected them Mirror to come out on the Ramatra. It's what they've been playing so much. The Disorb Orb gets so much value. Huge nade onto the backline of Renko and Luke Mino, but no follow-up.
This is still working for San Francisco. Oh my goodness, Proper. 3 final blows already in this first fight. And San Francisco move into residence here. Luke Mino, yeah, switch to the Moira, now the Brig.
And Mirror goes over to the Doomfist as well. Probe down, gets caught, must have lost his translocator at some point. So now we see Luke Mino switch over to the Brig as well. A lot of swaps at the start of this round, but Shock in control. Seems like they're trying to come up with an answer against Junbin's ball because he's just everywhere all at once.
This is what the Shock needed, the secret weapon that we all knew about. Pretty obvious choice, but we're surprised to wait so long in the series for it. Alpha Yi looking for Renko. God, he really wants a piece of that Ana. Will be stymied this time around though. Does see a low health prop, but again, give Proper all the resources. Give him that 5G, let him go for straight in now. Him looking for Teru. There's an EMP here for Flora though, so you have to have your wits about you, and Junbin finally his reign of terror cut short.
Nano Doomfist, Mirror comes in. Flora's going to hold onto this EMP as well as they finally get the flip at 55%. Well, great sleep onto Alfie and the follow-ups there, but Renko's going to trade his life.
All right, Mirror looking clean on the Doom. Good to see that again. And I guess this is the answer from the Justice, right? If, you know, Mirror's not going to try and directly respond to Junbin, may as well try and play something disruptive himself.
Yeah, the Doomfist can disrupt the ball when he goes into these rolls. You can punch him around. Probe gets slapped. You can see Junbin drops the balls onto Probe's body, trying to hope that it would keep him alive, but it doesn't, and that's just going to be more time here for the Washington Justice to tick up. Mirror gets forced to use this Doomfist ultimate. See if he can get more value than we saw from Junbin. There it is.
Junbin down again here. Look at the kill contribution from the Justice there. The hack, the sleep, the bio. There's a lot of tools, and again, the Justice, you've got to give them credit, Scott, because they might get taken by surprise at first, but they figure it out, and they force Junbin to switch off the ball.
That's the first time anyone's been able to do that. Obviously, small sample size. Junbin goes to a more traditional composition with the Winston. Now it's only Mirror who's on an odd hero, but as you said, Doomfist is a comfort pick for Mirror. He's been playing this since it came out.
Renko, the rally keeps him alive. Great timing there from Luke Mino as Flora doesn't get what he came for. So the Shock are going to be able to move back and get ahead once more in capture percentage. The rally timing, really can't argue with that. Nicely done by Luke.
Flora just not able to find the value with that EMP. Luke Mino, massive value as Mirror switches over to the Winston as well. Mirror compositions. How do the Justice get back into this fight? They have the support ultimates, but they're walking into an EMP, and you can't see it off the screen, but Probe is lurking in the background, looking for Teru.
This Winston Mirror, I feel like, is where these teams have been most evenly matched in this series so far. Route 66, really back and forth affair. I think Teru's in trouble here. Nice defensive bio, though, gets away with it. Proper Probe, both have to get out. Junbin trying to break line of sight here. He's suffering a little bit from Flora's attention, but that EMP still being held. It can't keep Junbin alive though. The EMP has to be good, and at least they get Alpha Yi, but Mirror's still an issue, especially now with the Nano. He's chasing, hunting for Renko. It's going to be a sleep dart to intercept the Winston, but Flora's still able to get rid of the Ana. Proper though's been doing work of his own in the back line this whole time. Gets rid of Donghung, but the Shock know they need to back up for at least a moment. They give the cap over. Mirror though going to return to the rest of his team here. San Francisco surely won't be allowed to flip this again.
This is dangerous here for the Shock. If they take an extended fight here and they don't win, Washington Justice will take this round. Ultimates are coming up for the Shock, but Luke Mino falls first.
See in the backline, Teru getting zapped here and there by Junbin, but he's able to stay alive. Flora, he can really turn it up now. Gets the kill there, could EMP if he wanted to, but he says no, we can save this for the next fight. The Washington Justice have a really good shot at this here. Junbin gets nanoed for a time, but is unable to get much value out of that ultimate, and the EMP comes after. Nothing that Winston can do. Alfie doesn't quite stick the landing on that pulse bomb here, but the Justice still have everything in their favor. Mira pushing his backline out of the picture. Nothing Luke Mino can really do but look on. It's going to be Probe revealing himself on the point to keep that overtime going. Proper's pulse bomb finds the brig. Now steps up to the point, but Teru catches him with a dart. It'll be a step up here for Probe again. He needs to keep things going, and Junbin pops his primal rage that he couldn't use in the previous fight due to being EMP'd. But Mira more than happy to tag him down, stand his ground, and the Justice will take the first here on Busan.
Flora with such a smart EMP onto Junbin. Junbin was holding onto the point, being disruptive, but Flora drops the EMP, so he's not able to get that primal rage, and from there, the Shock had to juggle onto the point with Probe and Proper, and they weren't able to find any picks of their own. Washington Justice taking the first round in map 5 as this is slipping away here from the San Francisco Shock. Mira with some great Winston plays.
Yeah, he's just occupying this backline at a pretty important point. Junbin there, I think, yeah, he has primal rage in this fight, but I mean, he wants to use it when his team is actually in position to capitalize on the disruption. Just doesn't happen at all. So, well, things are turning against the San Francisco Shock awfully quick. We'll get another chance here on Mecha Base for them to keep this series alive. The Justice thinking about that reverse sweep, and they're awful close, so close, they can taste it.
The Shock are playing a much more rush style. They want to run down the Justice. They have the Mei, they have the Lucio. They're trying to up the tempo, while on the other hand, we have the Washington Justice who are playing that Tracer Sombra, so they want to do the poking. They want to lurk around into the background.
Junbin trading here with Mira. Big Bio, 2 players hit by that. Renko's in danger right now. He's able to stay alive long enough to fuel himself up with the Bio. Looks like Proper benefited from that as well. Junbin here just cycling these cooldowns against Mira, but he actually has the upper hand. The timing favors him, and no one was there to heal Mira. The pressure, I guess, from the high ground meant that the Justice couldn't get the heals on their tank where they needed to be. Proper's not even playing Tracer, so must have been something else to occupy them.
Yeah, I don't know where Donghyun and Teru ended up, but they were nowhere near Mira, and they just slow bleed came out. San Francisco Shock, they get the flip as they're trying to clean up these last Washington members, but they draw first blood.
It's possible that Mira rotated in the wrong direction while he was fighting against Junbin. He goes right, but the rest of his team's still up on that causeway. Maybe Junbin just blocks line of sight for that healing. Either way, that's gonna weigh that fight pretty cheaply, I've got to be honest. Flora nowhere to go there. Probe, yeah, gonna be waiting for him.
It's a bad stagger there from Flora. That's going to slow everything down once again. The Shock, they're getting up to ultimates. The Justice just need to slow down. Ooh, stray pulse bomb there from Alfie. It would have been huge if it landed, but it didn't. So the Shock go back to holding these chokes. They have the Mei. They can sort of stuff the Washington Justice whichever way they try and come.
9-2 right now for Proper. Most of that coming from the Tracer play on the previous map, but he is absolutely producing right now. The EMP, something that the Shock don't have access to. Flora doesn't have an opportunity to make use of it yet. He wants to use it to punish Luke Mino for this aggression. Junbin still, I guess, nanoed, so he just backs away. Proper's Blizzard. Looks like it allows the Shock to scoop up Mira. And in a fight where you have an EMP, you don't feel like you got bang for your buck if you're the Justice.
It was a great punish onto Luke Mino, but it didn't result in absolutely anything else. We're in a 4v4 fight, but the San Francisco Shock, they're still in control of this point.
Nicely done by Alpha, though, catches Proper outside of that ice block, but Junbin now has the ultimate and he invests it in removing Teru from the picture. Straight towards Mira now, but Mira kind of baits this in. He's able to build up his own annihilation, and Junbin can't do anything but shield his face. Eventually he gets slurped down. Little victories for the Justice here, but they've really got to get cracking. It's 91-7. They got a long road to try and make the reverse sweep happen now.
Yeah, the Justice, as much as they do finally get the flip, cost Mira the annihilation, so now they're on the defensive end. Flora needs to charge up a fast EMP here. He needs that massive tool, because I wouldn't be surprised to see the San Francisco Shock go very quickly with this sound barrier. Hack onto Luke Mino.
Don't follow up though. Sound barrier came out for Luke Mino. Maybe felt like that was pressured out, but the Shock are going to use it to try and get aggressive behind. Donghyun and Probe both traded out as frontliners get aggressive. That's going to be Luke Mino falling, in Renko is the only healer up for the Shock right now. Mira hit with a biotic grenade, but Junbin falls to Alpha Yeast Pulse. Finally, he gets value out of that. And the Justice can win 2 fights in a row here. This is so crucial. They spend a lot of those ultimates, but the Shock also make a significant investment there. It doesn't pay off.
Yeah, the Shock, they really wanted to close that one out, but once the sound barrier was gone, they just didn't have anything left in the tank. 50% and counting for the Justice. Flora's getting close to this EMP. They need it sooner rather than later.
Nano for Junbin is on the table. Can't say the same for Teru here. Flora hoping to maybe EMP the Shock as they drop to the point, but he's out of the fight. That allows Proper here to win out his duel versus Alpha Yi. The EMP's good on Proper. There's nowhere he can go right now, but he's still able to find a kill on Teru. The follow-up was there. Looks like Probe sets that kill up for Proper, and he finishes the job. There'll be a cap here, and San Francisco are well positioned to take this to a third round on Busan. It doesn't get any closer than this, and now we're seeing the true grit being displayed by the Shock. Such a, again, a new look team, putting it together when it counts. Nothing Alpha Yi can do there but try and throw himself at the point. Annihilation here from Mira, but he's hit by a pulse bomb immediately, and Proper's going to finish the kill here. You'll notice Donghun on that left-hand side who'll try and keep the stall alive, but he's been spotted and sniffed out and snuffed out. It'll be the San Francisco Shock taking it all the way on this map 5.
It had to go all the way. It has to go all the distance. As you can see Renko smiling, they are just hanging on by a thread. As you said, Proper going nuclear when his back's against the wall. He's got 12 final blows and only 3 deaths. When he's on this Tracer, it's such a threat to the Justice. This was such an important shot. Watch this one.
Proper, I think. Oh, you're kidding!
Stay on your toes, soldier.
EMP comes down, but Junbin is able to stay alive and basically prevent Mira from following up there. That's a tough one for Flora. He's had such a good last couple of maps. Proper though, 12 and 3 for him. This is scary stuff, and he spent much of that round on May before, again, as we expect, switching to the Tracer.
Shock playing the dive style, Justice playing the Ramatra, and Renko down before anything's even happened. Maybe just catching some spam on the entry. And that should be the Washington Justice taking the first cap.
Yeah, it looked like a set nade from Teru. Maybe he was pre-aiming that position. No time for the Shock to protect themselves there. They don't have a static shield, so it's going to be one. You're going to just have to bounce back from there. Again, Renko, not what you want at the start of such an important round here, but early days. Junbin playing aggressively makes me think that Renko is back in position to keep him topped.
Interestingly enough, on this map, because the Justice are playing the Ramatra, Luke Mino's actually on the Kiriko, maybe adding a little bit of healing, a little bit of save with the Suzu.
It could be the bios that constantly getting thrown at Junbin here as well, maybe looking at just to Suzu them off. Tough to deal with like that amount of pressure when Junbin needs to be able to play aggressively by definition.
They're trying to get in, they're just poking and prodding, haven't been able to find a pick, but down goes Mira.
Yeah, I like this here. Mira getting hacked there and just leapt upon. And San Francisco here now in a position to start to rest this one back. It's going to take a little while as that ice block is going to delay what feels like the inevitable here for Alpha Yi. And Junbin here just wants to pressure that back line, make it very, very hard for this to be stretched out any longer. Still, 40%. And you can argue that 40% comes off the back of that pick on Renko at the start of the round.
Now it comes down to the San Francisco Shock and how they're going to stagger these ultimates. They have pretty much 5 in their back pocket. Are they going to engage with the Nano? Are they going to go with the EMP early? They're going early.
Proper's there, look at him, right on time. Perfect execution from San Francisco. Probe and Proper both featuring in the kill feed on the 2 most important targets. Picture perfect.
And that's what we talked about on Midtown, just the EMP. They retained the other ultimates because they caught the Justice off guard. Look at Junbin's positioning. He's already standing here in spawn. He's been noticed by the Washington Justice, but you can see they don't want to commit anything this early to take a fight.
This is how the Shock, I guess, are looking to play when they're already behind. This is dangerous, though. Junbin just posturing for potential environmental eliminations here. I like that good awareness of Flora. Flora has to sort of pull the plug with the translocator, so it'll take some time to get in position for this EMP to really do damage. Here comes Junbin, gonna be hit with that Nano, slept briefly, but Donghun's taken down by Proper, who's been on point this last map, and San Francisco have made up the deficit from the start of the round. Now they're in the lead here, Justice flipping back briefly. Is Alpha Yi now just trying to use the periphery to dodge some of these shots coming in. It's gonna be Mira with Annihilation though, so it's hard to see the Justice losing out here.
And that's once again another important flip there for the Washington Justice. They get the flip early, so they're the ones garnering the percentage while this fight is going on. And the San Francisco Shock, they don't want to stop. They're not trying to slow down. They think they have the advantage. Can they get Alpha Yi down?
This is big. They come in so quickly. I guess that was telegraphed by Junbin diving into the fight in like a 3 versus 5. And it works. San Francisco knows they can't let this drag on like it did at the start of the round. Quickly getting back in control. Get themselves set up now to let Probe EMP effectively.
We saw how effective it was last time. They went early. They didn't give Justice the space. Mira has the Annihilation, so if he gets the positioning and gets onto the backline of the Shock, he will do so much damage, but will Probe let him get there?
And again, Proper needs to be in position to follow up on that EMP. Probe knows the Justice are playing for that high ground, waiting for them to drop down. Maybe even a thought to catching Alpha here with an EMP, but it's a pretty slim window to pick up the Tracer. There's no guarantee you'll hit her. Probe pulls back. Junbin playing that high ground, getting topped up. There's an Annihilation to contend with here. It's scary for the Shock, but they've, again, getting that flip in the last fight, they have a buffer, Scott.
Yeah, they have a buffer. Mira's made it all the way to the point without an EMP coming, and then Probe drops late, but it's late.
Mira caught by an EMP, Alpha Yi Donghun, but Probe goes down, takes too much damage in a snap. And now San Francisco have got to turn it around. Junbin got a nano for a time. Probe's going to drag himself back to the fight. He switches to the Widowmaker. Pulse bomb from Proper this time, though. No dice. Junbin with that primal rage now, but he's going to be hacked out of it. No chance to make use of it. That's devastating. The silver lining for the Shock is that they had control of the point up until just now. And Probe finds 2 quick kills. There might be something here.
That's huge. All of a sudden, Teru's back in the spawn door. They can play aggressive if he finds another one. He's looking for the brig. He's forcing positioning though, Mitch. This is so important for the Justice. Gives them so much space. Sorry for the shot.
Probe splits the brig away from the rest of the Justice, right? Can you capitalize here? Shots are ringing into that shield. You see
he's off.
Coming back in. Oh no! The environmental elimination there from Junbin. Donghun set off the map. Florido's able to make his way in and pick Probe out of the mix. But it's the primal rage that's yielding some serious results. And Proper comes back with a bang. The Washington Justice now with Mira Nano. That's all they can do. And it's just not going to be enough. San Francisco withstand a resurgent Washington Justice. And now they're looking to finish the job. It's just Donghun on the point. Eventually he too must be felled. And San Francisco dodge the reverse sweep.
And most importantly for me, in the final hour, it's the rookies of Junbin and Probe are the ones who come clutch. Probe, with a gutsy switch in the final hour, goes over to the Widowmaker, finds 2 picks, gives them the space, and then Junbin follows through, hits the Primal Rage, takes off Donghun's rally, and that gives San Francisco Shock the opening to close out this series. It was dicey for the Shock, Mitch, but they hold on just.
Again, you know, this is much more realistic now for us, right? It makes no sense to see San Francisco come in and just destroy, you know, both the Gladiators and the Justice. We definitely see the mortality of this team. We definitely see like they're taking a couple of risks and sometimes it all falls apart. But this was such an ambitious project by Krusty midway through the season. Let's be clear. The Shock has had a history of just taking players from Korean contenders, right?
Yep.
From O2 Blast, bring them in, let's build a super team. This time, they look a little bit closer to home. I mean, Renko really making a big impact, bringing Luke Mino over from a team that hasn't exactly garnered him a great reputation as an individual, just based on association. And look at this. They found a formula that's worked against 2 teams that sit comfortably in the top half of the league.
Yeah, and we had a lot of doubts. A lot of people did when they're adding, Luke Mino, struggling player from a struggling team, and then Renko, as you said, coming out of North American contenders. But they've slot right in. They made their presence known, they made some clutch plays, and they enabled everyone else on the San Francisco Shock to do their jobs. There has been gambles from Krusty in this year. They picked up a lot of rookies. It didn't pay off, but he was willing to double down. He went for this backline, and it's paying off.
And again, like, we're not seeing the Shock just lean on Striker as a known quantity here. Probe gets a ton of game time. A great opportunity here to really solidify a lot of that Sombra play, right? I think Proper is still, the loose cannon that we kind of know him to be, right? He sort of comes out on these maps playing main and okay, I've got to switch it up. I'm going to, try and play the Echo, play something a little bit different. Still looked incredibly good over the course of this series. But let's talk player of the match now, Scott. Some great players in the server on both sides here, but only one can come away with this honor, and it is going to be Proper, your player of the match. I wasn't keeping track. Sometimes it's kind of boring trying to check if Proper is currently flat or deadlifting. Usually, there's a good chance that he is. But again, the Echo pocketed by Lumino to start the series, Scott, looked fantastic.
Yeah, and Proper was an important piece, and as much as it feels like we're always giving it to Proper, it's because he deserves it. He's finding picks like these time and time again. And as much as we can hype up these rookies for making these big plays, it's Proper who's coming in clutch time and time again. And as you said, the stat line will back that.
When this team comes into the second half of the season 3-5. all of a sudden, they're 500. They are 5 wins, 5 losses, and all of a sudden starting to turn it potentially into a real threat, especially for teams that, you know, sit from 3rd and below. Still more we need to see from this team, but Proper delivers as only he can. Almost 9 final blows here per 10 as Tracer. Really solid showing. And again, we talked about how he sort of plays those pulse bombs. He really had a fantastic stick rate on that Route 66, putting a lot of pressure down on Mirror. Eventually, he's got to feel great. He's a player who's so hard on himself, right?
Yeah.
Very public reactions to how San Francisco go. You often see him sort of, you know, put it in the team Discord, how he's sort of feeling. I mean, great to see this team find some success here. Maybe great to see a bit more parity in the league. But I don't want to count out the Justice here. A tough job going up against this Shock team, trying to figure out how they're going to play. And we talked about it. Flora and Alpha, you definitely had some great moments too.
The Washington Justice in general, you can't take anything away from them. This San Francisco Shock, as much as they struggled every now and then, I think the Washington Justice pushed them, and you could see an identity of how they want to play this game. They're very confident, they know how to play towards Mirror's hero pool, and they push them, and they push them. It just wasn't enough. But if Flora and Alpha, they can play that way throughout the entirety of the series, they're a dangerous team to play against for anybody.
A lot of fun this series. Really enjoyed seeing a much improved Shock in a really competitive game of Overwatch. What a day it's been in that regard for great matches of Overwatch. We're going to go to a quick break and then we're going to hear from the crew on their desk to break it all down. Don't go too far. Watch point. It's coming right up. Thank you. Right there.
Oh, Washington Justice played it so close. They were so close to getting the win, but it did not happen. It was San Francisco Shock getting the win against the Washington Justice. Guys, how did this match play out? How did San Francisco Shock beat the Washington Justice?
It's a heartbreaker.
A slobber knocker, barn burner, back and forth.
I really feel that Shock let this be closer than it needed to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, Route 66, I will give it to Justice. They clutched up and they made a hold on the end of Route, and it looked good. Like, they made that happen, you know? Like, that's a deserved win. I think that Doomfist on
New Queen Street was a little...
What is Junbin cooking?
That was suspect. Like, for sure, for me, that's like not good. I don't know. I mean,
some questionable plays, definitely.
yeah, I kind of feel that, like, maybe just either mirroring the Ramatra, playing a rush mirror, or bringing out the Winston, it would have been better for them there. They chose to go with the Doom. I think it fell. It was. I mean, there were some moments, but it ultimately fell flat, right? The Ram was just kind of running them down. Mei and Sombra, so hard to play against on Doomfist. So
I'm happy to call Junbin the mad scientist, because like he'll just have the most insane, awesome plays, and he'll be like, oh my god, Junbin, like he got a 2K with the primal to end the match.
Yeah.
And just like, oh my god, Junbin's amazing. Swaps forward to ball. Oh my god, it's amazing. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna go Doom, and you're like, wait a minute.
he is cooking.
What is Junbin cooking? So it's amazing that Junbin has these amazing moments sometimes, because you can really see, like, when Shock play at their best, like the peak is ridiculous and they're playing at like a really high level. But then at some points you're like, oh, I can still see the Shock are, you know, they're brewing something, but you know, they're not quite there. Washington Justice, on the other hand, I still think there was a really good performance by the Justice. Flora had like one of his better matches this entire season next to Alpha Yi, so that is a great boon for the Justice moving forward. Mirror as well. As much as we talk about that Mirror sometimes is perhaps a bit underwhelming compared to our best tanks in the league, like Mirror still plays aggressively, finds picks, stuff like that. So a competitive series between two pretty good teams.
Yeah, especially on those Ramatra battles, that's where, you know, Justice started to find their stride. Mirror was picking up frags, dealing very well with all the pressure that Justice were putting out. But here I think Justice, when they go up against the Shock's dive, it gets very difficult. Proper on fire constantly. And then now he's just got like a little bit more consistent pieces around him. Not only is Junbin staying in a lot more, yeah, we saw Max come in and get a win, but it was more selective. It was more, okay, like well thought out, I think, as regards when they're gonna bring Max in to specialize a little bit more. Junbin is getting a lot of the playtime. He's the focus. I just want to see things tightened up at the edges. I want to see maybe like, are you gonna just play Rush in these maps? Then bring out the Mei, right? If you're gonna play Ramatra on New Queen Street, or just bring out some kind of
this was crazy.
speedy
Yeah, this
strategy.
was.
Like,
Oh man.
There's like a shade, that's like a sliver of a Sombra, and you nail the headshot. I mean, that's an
Probe is
insane play.
terrifying in the hit scan. I think you made a great
Insane
point
play.
actually the other day about having Probe in to play sort of hit scan roles with Proper, and then Striker coming in to play like Rush hero roles, Reapers, and enabling Proper to maybe take a Sojourn in a Rush comp. Like I do think maybe this lets Shock have their cake and eat it too. Let Proper keep flexing onto what's the most impact, but don't ask another DPS player to like try to keep up with that and just scramble to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
You split it into 2 roles, it's much more doable.
And also, I mean, I think for Washington Justice too, I was very impressed of how they played today against San Francisco Shock. I mean, I thought it wouldn't be this close, but you know, them playing against San Francisco Shock and almost taking the win as well. You know, it's exciting to see what they have in store for us, you know, in the future as well.
For sure.
Great job, both teams. All right. I'm just gonna be honest.
You're right, Daddy. That was a great
I'm waiting
match.
for the post-match interview, but it's just not. I'm not hearing anything. So yeah,
I
that's
think it is coming. I think we
got a special someone. You know, someone who's very joyful, someone who's very happy, joyful. In general, just
who is it?
A pretty happy.
Who is it? You're
person.
seeing him right now. It's Reiko from San Francisco Shock. Hello, Reiko. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, great job today, and of course, big congratulations on getting that win. You know, I wanna hear from you. Like today, this match, you know, you guys started off strong, and then you know, starting from map 3, you know, your win sort of was about to slip away, but then at the end of the day, it was San Francisco Shock getting the win. So, how did you guys get the win today against the Washington Justice?
I mean, we just played our game, you know. We played pretty strong. Probe definitely clutched up towards the end, but you know, I'm just happy, as you can see, that you know how we played today. We just played our game, played to our strengths.
Nice.
And I wanted to ask how it's been for you coming into this team where the Shock's such a storied franchise, but this has not been the best season for the Shock. Like there have been a lot of struggles more than almost ever before pretty much since season 1 for this franchise. So do you feel coming in as a rookie, like those are some big shoes to fill rather, and how does that make you feel? Like do you worry about that pressure at all or just kind of do your thing?
Yeah, definitely playing, like just being a rookie and playing my first like matches like this week, it's definitely, I was pretty nervous coming in, but I think like as I, you know, play more, get more experience, I think I'm getting more used to it, and I'm happy about that.
All right, I got a bit of a two-parter for you. So, you know, instead of having one question, I'm sort of cheating here having 2. So first of all, I just wanted to ask about, you know, obviously the happiness and smiling so much. And you actually tweeted out yesterday that you have so much to be happy about, and it's awesome to hear. You know, it's